Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. Brenda Hollingsworth joining us from Auger Hollingsworth Law Firm. We are in the process of really discovering what it is that you do and what hiring a lawyer does. Want to get into now the negotiation process,
Right.
which is really the back and forth between you and the insurance company.
Yes, so that's really where the rubber hits the pavement and where experience makes a big difference. What we do before heading into a negotiation, we've got all of your medical records, we've heard your story, we've got your employment records, we know what's gone on with you. Then we start our legal research. We look at cases to figure out what have other people in Ontario and other provinces with similar systems to us, what have they got? What did they get from the court for injuries similar to yours? And so that there's, a fairly elaborate process you go through to research that. And we come up with maybe a high watermark and a low watermark for what this case might be worth. We will put together a proposal. We write out sort of your story, make you likable, sympathetic, tell stuff about you, anecdotes in this letter, put in the numbers, and then we send it to the client to make sure that we're on the same page. And most of the time we are. Every now and then they say, well, you forgot about this, and we're like, oh, okay, we didn't realize that, and adjust it. And then,
So the client should take the time to really go through that document.
I think so, for sure. I mean, we have in our retainer agreement, we explain this to our clients up front. They are the decision makers, right? A lot of people hire a lawyer and they want to say, okay, call me when it's settled, right? That's not how it works. You make the decision about your case. And so we give you what we think, but it's a partnership. At least in our office, it's a partnership. So we send you the proposal, you agree with it, and then we send it to the insurance company. Sometimes they pick up the phone right away when they get it, and sometimes they sit on it for 3 months. You're not that in charge of the process, and you can't keep calling them because then you look desperate. So that can be a waiting game. Once we're actually in negotiations, generally speaking, the insurer will call and say, we've assessed the case at this amount. And they'll give you some amount that is significantly lower in most cases than our assessment. And it's in a lot of ways like buying a house. We go back until we meet, not necessarily in the middle, but at a number that we think is fair. The client is involved in this process. Lawyers are obligated to bring every offer to the client. So we always do. So if there's an offer, you will know. And you will have a chance to say yes or no, and we'll always tell you, we think this is good, we think it's not good. At some point, though, we may find that we're just too far apart, right? The insurance company sees the case much differently than we do. And if that's the case, maybe we won't have a choice but to go forward or go further, either start the lawsuit if we haven't, or go further with the lawsuit if we're in the lawsuit. And sometimes that's what it takes, more work, more medical assessments, examination for discovery, to bring the insurance company around to our way of thinking about the case.
Okay. It is a process, but
yes.
It's fascinating to see kind of just how back and forth it really is. It isn't just the come into the office and expect something to be done fast. It's not going to happen that way.
Right.
It really won't.
That's right. The insurance company might call you and say, we'll give you $20,000, sign here. They might do that, and you might think that's a lot of money, but if they're offering you $20,000 6 weeks after your accident, your case is probably worth a lot more than that, because that's not how it works.
Something to keep in mind. We do have a phone call. I do believe Carol's on the phone, so good morning, Carol.
Hi.
Hi, what is your question?
My question is there a statute of limitations as to when an accident happens, and how late can it be till you proceed?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that bites a lot of people. There is. In Ontario, for most accidents, there's 2 years. 2 years from the date that you have a case. So for car accident cases, because you have to have a serious and permanent injury, it might run from the date when you realized you had a serious and permanent injury. But generally speaking, it's 2 years for adults. It's until your 20th birthday if you're a child when the accident happens.
Under the age of 18, or?
Under the age of 18. So it's 2 years from the date that you become 18.
Okay.
So for most people, that's going to be their 20th birthday.
But if something happened when they were 6,
they have until their 20th birthday.
They have until their 20th birthday to say something is okay.
If something happened when they were 18, then it would be, it would run the 2 years. So yeah. So a lot of times people are surprised by that because, in the 90s it was 7 years. So that was a change. So people who might have had an accident when they were much younger might remember the 7 years and be in trouble. We've had people calling us who thought it was a 7-year limitation period and been disappointed.
So that's something you really should keep in mind, and why, right as you know, the clock does start ticking
right.
as soon as something has happened.
Right, and that's the limitation period. There are also notice periods that can also bite you. There are, for example, if you slip and fall in certain contexts, property owned by the city or the province, there are shorter time periods where you have to notify them that you might have a claim. And that can also prejudice you if you don't take those steps.
I think the best step to do is to call and to ask for information and to get the proper advice, and that of course is what you're there for. You also have a wonderful website, askbrenda.ca.
That's right.
If you want to be able to head in, and there's lots of information right there, but get informed, especially when this is your livelihood, this is your health, this is your future at stake, and so you really want to be able to keep that in mind. All of the information listed on your screen. Ask Brenda, as I mentioned, .ca is the website. info@ottawalawfirm.ca is your email. Brenda, always a pleasure.
Thanks a
Good
lot.
luck with everything. We have a musical guest joining us. We're going to hear singer-songwriter Graham Greer coming up after the break.